Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Random Respawn. I'm Josh Dragani.
I'm Marshall Behringer on a very crappy mic tonight. I apologize. And with us tonight is our third and new member to Random Respawn, our dear friend, Caleb Jones.
Hello, I'm Caleb Jones. First inaugural episode of Random Respawn, and I'm very excited to be here.
Huzzah!
Caleb is quite the gamer. We knew him in the college, and last week I told you that we'd be doing some new things that will hopefully make us better. And adding Caleb as a new permanent member to Random Respawn has already made it better. He actually comes with a decent mic.
Oh my God, you're not going to let me live with this, are you? God, I hate you.
That's quite all right.
I have to make my impression somewhere.
Yes, as always, in this podcast, we talk about gaming news, gaming things, and gaming stuff. Today, we've got a pretty great episode where we talk about spoilers and speedruns. And as always, I will start off by telling you guys what I've been playing this week.
What have you been playing?
That's a great question. Let me just reminisce.
It's a great question. You should probably answer that.
I agree.
I actually started playing Medieval Times.
Ooh.
Wait, what?
It's just called Medieval, but whenever I have to say Medieval Times, it seems weird to just say Medieval. And I it's the game where you play as Sir Francis something.
It was on the PlayStation 1, right?
It was on the PlayStation 1.
I remember that game as a kid. I don't ever remember playing very much of it, but I very distinctly remember the cover and the main character that you play as. And I think the first level is on like a long pathway or something.
It kind of is on a pathway.
Okay.
It is a PS1 game. You play as a skeleton. It's not bad. It's kind of fun. I also started playing Vanquish again, and that is such a good game.
I love that game.
It's underrated. I honestly think it may be in my top 10. It's perfectly cheesy. The controls are super tight. They're tight like a tiger. And it's hysterical. I mean, it's hysterical how cheesy it is. Like,
Can we stop the podcast right now? Can I just go play it right now? Because I have the biggest urge right now to do that.
I think
that game is just so much fun.
That's exactly what I'm going to do when we stop this, because that game it's absolutely in my top 10. I mean, Platinum games can do no wrong, in my opinion. I mean, I didn't really like Anarchy Reigns that much. I felt like it's the weakest title they've done so far, but everything else has just been brilliant. I mean, Vanquish was their step into the third-person shooter genre, and they just blew it away. I mean, it completely does everything right that it's supposed to in that type of game, and it is so fun to play. I mean, it is never boring. Like Gears of War or any of those other like hard-hitting AAA titles for the third-person shooter genre, at some point you're just like, oh yay, another room, more dudes to shoot. But in Vanquish you're like, wow, power slide! And it's just awesome.
in first level, you're sliding, and then a huge robot comes out of the ground. I mean, just like, they're just, robot!
Dude, that first level, oh my God, they throw you into the fucking fire, I swear. Like, they give you like a little bit of a tutorial at the very beginning, and then it's like, okay, here are a bunch of dudes, go kill them. And by the way, they're all firing 1 billion missiles at you. Have fun dodging.
Whatever tutorial they give you basically just boils down to power slide for win. And
yeah, that's it. And then hit circle and then run.
That game is so much fun. It's actually one of my games to go back to complete. There's only one achievement I have left to get, and it's to get the highest rating on all of the virtual missions. And I've done it on every one except for the very last mission. And it is so hard. Something
that you guys should know about Caleb is that Caleb is a wicked good gamer, and he is a completionist.
Yes.
The amount of games that he is 100% completed, doesn't matter how bad the game is, he has played through it and beaten it and gotten every single achievement.
He is what some would call an achievement whore.
I prefer Hunter, but, I'm a little more G-rated. But
Horse and Hunter, they both have an H in there.
Well, I appreciate the accolades. I don't consider myself an above-average gamer. I just consider myself dedicated and very passionate about games. I mean, I think my total for completed games is somewhere in the 60s. Now, that can be arcade games as well, so it's somewhat misleading. But I love playing games, and I love achievements. It's a lot of my reason for coming back to games or doing additional playthroughs of games, or just, I don't know. I really like getting achievements. It makes me feel good inside.
And some of those games that he has 100%ed, I mean, you said that arcade games don't really count, but I mean, you 100%ed Limbo and Super Meat Boy, didn't you?
I did not get the Golden Boy achievement for 100%ing Meat Boy. I got everything else. I've beaten the Dark World of all the levels on Super Meat Boy, like the Dark World of the, whatever that Candyland or Pink, whatever it was. Oh my God, so hard. And I got, actually, even more proud than that. I'm more proud of getting the kid in that game than actually beating the dark pink levels, because getting that took me about, oh, you were there, Marshall. How long did it take? Probably 4 hours of me. Oh,
God, you were stuck on those kid levels forever.
It was like, I mean, I sat there. It was, I think, an entire Sunday that I was trying to do the kid levels. I mean, it took 3 hours or something to do the first mission or the first world of that, and there's 3, and did the first screen. I was like, oh my God, yes, I did it. Oh, there's another screen. Oh,
of course there is.
Is that the one with all the spikes and you have to like double jump in between them?
It's exactly set up like I Want to Be the Kid, which I've beaten multiple times, and I love that game too, but it's so much more ridiculous.
That's impressive. I mean, you deserve every accolade in the world.
Well, thank you.
You deserved a big hug after doing that.
I think I got one too. Limbo is another game I am proud of completing, because the hardest achievement on that one was to beat the entire game with only dying, I think, 5 or less times. And I actually had to do it twice in a row, because the first time I beat the game, and then I went through like the following day, and I was going for this achievement, and I went through a couple different sections just to kind of practice them and get used to it, and then I actually did a full dedicated run to it, and I was doing all right. I had a slip up here or there, but I was still okay, and I had 1 or 2 deaths left coming towards the final section of the game with the gravity shifting stuff, and I ended up dying on the very last saw blade right before the end of the game, and I was just, it was such a huge pang of like, oh my God, I have to do 3 hours of gameplay again. And that's where most people would stop, but not me.
That's right.
That's where my obsession becomes stupid.
How about you, Marshall? You've been playing Guns of Kid Icarus, haven't you?
No, it's Guns of Icarus, by the way, not Kid Icarus, though that would have been kind of funny and pretty cool at the same time. Guns of Icarus is a online game right now. It's a multiplayer only. They've got a Kickstarter right now coming up for the single player portion for like an adventure mode that you would be in control of like AI. But essentially what it is it's a steampunk airship battle game where you and 3 other people control a steamship in the sky. It's like a hot air balloon on meth, essentially, with a bunch of guns and flamethrowers and steampunk rocket launchers. It's great. And you essentially battle out in like a domination type style or team deathmatch. And there's a lot to do with it. Like you have your one person is always going to be the captain of the ship, who essentially is the guy who's going to be controlling it. So he'll have to do evasive maneuvers, make sure that guns are in sight. Then you've got your gunners who are specialized in like getting better like ammunition, like incendiary rounds, for instance. Like they have access to stuff like that. And then there are the engineers, where while they can still shoot guns, I mean, they don't have the special ammo types. They have better equipment to repair all your stuff. And there is no health per se. Your health is your ship. So your hull is essentially the main part of the ship that you have to make sure you're repaired. You've got like essentially an armor shield that when that goes down, then your hull's breached. And if your hull is destroyed, then your ship just blows up into a billion pieces. And so the engineer's job is to make sure to keep the repairs up on not just the hull, but then other parts of the ship, like the engines, the guns, and then even the hot air balloon itself. Because when the balloon pops, you start to, fall out of the sky, and that's never a good thing. But it's been a lot of fun so far, and I hope that we can all get together and have a grand old time piloting a ship and being scared for our lives.
Yes, I'm pretty excited to give that game a shot. The very generous Josh donated a copy of it to me and another friend of ours who will hopefully be joining us soon on the show. and I'm excited to give that a go and enjoy some 4-player multiplayer madness.
I too am looking forward to that. But Caleb, what have you been gaming on?
I recently went back to over the weekend. I went back to Gears of War Judgment. I know, groan if you must, but I am a fan of the Gears of War series. I mean, I loved Gears 1, 2, and 3, especially the multiplayer components. It's always something that I go back to. I enjoy online multiplayer, not to the extreme where I'm super hardcore about it and I only care about the stats and everything. I enjoy it because it's fun. I mean, and I don't play online unless I'm with at least one friend, and so that's where it really gets fun to me, when I'm playing with one bro or a couple of bros and we're just hanging out, having a good time, and hopefully winning. But I went back to that. I actually beat the campaign because I hopped straight into multiplayer when I got the game, which is one of my cardinal sins, but I did it anyway. I hate when I see people do that. They just hop into multiplayer and never touch the single player, because to me that's always the heart of a game is the single player. I mean, that's where gaming got its start, and I think that it's never respectful to completely ignore that component of it. But so I went back to that, and then I've also been enjoying the far more original Battle Block Theater, which is made by Behemoth, the same people who did Castle Crashers, and it is hilarious. It's an interesting.
What kind of a game is that?
It's an hard to describe is what it is. It's pretty much just a puzzle platformer at its core, and not complex puzzles, mind you, like Limbo or Braid. It's just kind of a platformer, and it's got various hazards and traps, and your objective is just to go through, and there are gems hidden through the level, and you need to get 3 of them to open the exit, or you can get all of them for an extra bonus and be able to buy more character faces. There's also an arena and multiplayer component to it that I haven't tried yet that's supposed to be really fun. You can also generate your own levels, your own little user-generated levels. I said it right the first time. And it's really fun. If nothing else, download the free trial off of Xbox Live Arcade or PSN, whatever you have, and just watch the intro. And if you don't have a split in your side from laughing so hard, just delete it and move on with your life, because this game is not for you. But I promise you, I downloaded the trial, and before that even finished, I was like, okay, I'm buying this game. Because it's narrated so well, and there's actually a story behind it, which it's not terribly complex, but it's just so random and hilariously written and narrated. It's brilliant.
I just some quick gaming news that I'm just gonna throw at your faces.
Throw it at my face. Do it.
The Ouya.
I think it's the Ouya.
Ouya. It's been delayed again.
Woo!
Oh no.
Another quick news is some guy on Reddit made a fake Xbox Infinity logo, saying that this would be cool if it was the next Xbox. And IGN, GameSpot, a bunch of other gaming sites saw the image and said that we got from an inside source that this is the new Xbox Live.
Oh, that's where that came from? Oh, no.
Yes, some guy just thought it would be fun. And, they're like, why'd you do Infinity? And he was like, well, 360 sounds stupid, but if you take 2 circles and put them together, it's kind of like an infinity sign. So I just thought Xbox Infinity would make sense. And the best part of that is, I can understand you getting a photo of something and saying, hey, maybe this is going to be the new thing. But to say that you got it from an inside source at Microsoft and just totally blowing all of your journalism integrity out of the water, as of right now, us talking on this podcast are more credible than some of the actual gaming magazine websites.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of integrity to that to begin with, unfortunately. So
I take pride in that. I take pride in our integrity.
Oh no, not our integrity, their integrity. Yeah.
I was kidding, because I personally don't have any integrity.
Because you're a terrible person.
It's true.
Yes, we've long discussed your lack of feelings.
You don't cry. The only time you've ever cried was during The Fox and the Hound when you were a kid.
Holy cow. That is the only sad thing in this entire world.
That is the epitome of sad.
That is pretty damn
nothing
sad.
else matches that level of sadness when she gives the fox away. Holy
People
crap.
are always talking about, ways to identify serial killers. You show them The Fox and the Hound. If they don't cry, that's a murder.
Oh, agreed. 100%. I mean, I think I could be a great assassin, and I think the only thing that stopped me from being an assassin were the tears that I cried for when she gave the fox away in The Fox and the Hound.
Yeah, you're a straight up
right
sociopath. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Your mom's a sociopath.
Hey, don't talk about my mama. She's a
I
nice
meant
lady.
your mom was a social studies student. Sorry, I mix those up all the time.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, reeling this back in.
So, first topic of today, let's talk about speedruns. What's a speedrun? Well, I'll tell you what a speedrun is. It's when someone does a run of a game speedy.
Woo! Imagine that.
Yeah. No, it's people will beat games as fast as humanly possible. A lot of times they'll use glitches, and there are really two types of speedruns. There are the legitimate, hey, I've got a controller in my hand and I'm doing the speed run, and then there are the TAS or tool-assisted speedruns where people play on emulators and they can basically go frame by frame and input commands to essentially play a 100% perfect playthrough of a game, and because it is literally frame by frame precision, they can access glitches that just a normal person wouldn't be able to do. So a lot of times it's them kind of like doing really funky things and jumping through walls, whereas like a normal person couldn't do that because they just can't move that fast and know the exact pixel on the screen to jump through. And so, if you want to see the fastest speed run of a game, you would watch one that's used TAS. But if you want to see like a real legitimate person doing a speed run, then you watch one that's not TAS assisted. And so let's talk about that. Caleb, you brought up this topic when we were discussing things to go over. Let's get your thoughts on it.
I think that they are both very interesting types of runs. A TAS a TAS run is assisted, and some people think that it is, because it's tool assisted, it is less impressive or requires less skill. And I don't think that. I think that there is still a huge amount of dedication involved in making a TAS run, and it's impressive to watch. I mean, a lot of people refer to those kinds of runs as almost an art form because the limit of perfection is pushed so much further than what's humanly possible, because they're using every tool at their disposal to make this a 100% fastest as possible run. And it's really neat. I mean, I watched one that was of Super Contra 3, the Alien Wars, on the hardest difficulty I think he did it in 3.5 minutes flat.
Holy cow.
It's amazing. I mean, he's able to warp through levels by doing this, like dying and using a bomb glitch, and then the awkward top-down sections. The character just glides through and is exactly on the pixel where it needs to be to do the exact, just everything. It's amazing to watch. But at the same time, I prefer to watch an SDA run. And SDA is a Speed DMOS archive, and they are strictly human played. There are glitches allowed, but the recordings have to be on the original console. They can't be on emulators, and they have a very strict set of rules to follow and verify before you can have a run posted on their website. And just because I like to see what is actually possible to do, I prefer to watch those runs. Occasionally I'll go and watch one just like I want to see how fast it can be humanly or otherwise, and I'll watch a TAS. But one of the more impressive SDA runs I watched was a team of speedrunners who each were in charge of their own section of the game to be able to perform. They did collaboratively Portal, the first one on the PC, in 9 minutes, and it's beautiful to watch. I mean, they utilize glitches in the game like portal pushing to go outside of the bounds of the arena and launch portals in other sections to skip entire chapters. But it's amazing. It's on YouTube, and I highly recommend anyone looking it up just because of how crazy it is. And if you know anything about the way Portal is constructed and the end of it and everything, it's awesome to watch.
Yeah, I did watch that Portal one, and one thing that I will say that I too prefer SDAs over TASs or TS, because I will say that watching a speedrun with the commentary is so cool. For them to talk about some of the glitches that they did and how they did it. But the Portal one was amazing. I mean, he does the whole game backwards, because if you jump backwards and crouch and you do it a certain way, you actually start picking up speed. And so he jumps over full water sections basically because he was able to speed run over certain areas. And then, all of a sudden he literally will just end up in the elevator, and you're like, holy crap, how do you get in the elevator? Because you're going through the entire level backwards, except when you utilize some crazy glitch, and it's wicked.
Yeah, when he started it up and he's just jumping backwards, I'm going, oh my god, what? Like, how is it possible to have that level of memorization to be able to do a game in reverse?
I was watching a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time speedrun, and I believe it was under 20 minutes. It's the really crazy thing is how broken the game is, but at the same time how playable it is, because there are just some things that are really awkward, but whenever you or I play the game, we don't notice any of these glitches, but when you try and exploit some of these glitches, you realize how broken the game actually is. Like, the stick has the same hit damage as the Master Sword, but if you swing the stick and then switch weapons and then switch back to the stick really quickly, you'll be holding the stick, but it'll be 100% doing continuous damage. So you can just kind of like walk into things and all of a sudden they're just dead. And he beat the game as Kid Link, because the glitch that he used, he stood between a door and a wall, and the way that the game worked was that it actually adds up the two values together, and that actually transported him right to the final Ganon fight, where he turns into the big pig Ganon. And the thing is, if it was to teleport him anywhere sooner, he would have had to use the light arrow or the Master Sword. So it's like it was the perfect spot for him to go to and not need anything else except for the stick. And he beat Ganon with the stick. And I mean, that's just what he did. And it was so cool to watch. Tool assisted speedruns are I know exactly what you're saying, because I mean, you're 100% trying to get the absolute pixel perfect run. And apparently, according to the Task Society, that if you don't go frame by frame in a game trying to perfect it, then you were being lazy and you shouldn't even submitted anything. So I mean, there is a skill to it, but to know that someone can actually do something is kind of, it's kind of neat.
Definitely.
Oh, sorry, Marshall.
No, I was just about to say, one of my examples that I remember vividly was I think a 27-minute video of someone 100% completing Super Mario World, and this is the SNES
all 120 stars,
seriously the SNES game, and
wow.
I mean, he did glitches and whatnot and able to do it as quickly as possible, but like he literally was able to create doing a jumping pattern of essentially creating blocks out of thin air, which would then cause a teleport to pop him up to the top, and then he jumped down, to which that teleported him all the way to the end of the level. But the best part about it is that he literally beat every single level of that game, and including Star Road, including Special Road, including all the other roundabouts, everything. He would go one way, then he'd go all the way back in order to go through another way. And what was amazing for me looking at that is that there were levels that I'd never seen before in Super Mario World, and I didn't know that those existed. But until I'd seen that video, I was like, well, this blows my mind. And I think I appreciated speedruns for games like that, where you have so many different options, and then you can actually see all the stuff that you've missed.
Yeah, no, that's the sign of a good game. You know what I mean? They don't force you to play every single level to get the full experience, but when you do find those, it just adds more to the game.
Right. I mean, and there's so many layers on that. I mean, you can literally play Super Mario Brothers for an entire day. I mean, you can just run through all these different levels, but you don't need to beat the game. It's just there purely for your enjoyment.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I will say that while watching the speedruns, I did watch one of it was a task speedrun, but he beat Super Mario 64 with 0 stars in like 15 or 20 minutes. It was basically, he would kind of glitch through doors, and basically all he did was fight Bowser just to get the key to open the doors, and then just glitched places. And like he would do like the long jump on a stairs, but long jump backwards, and then Mario would kind of shake and then just fly backwards. And he even bypassed the second Bowser that you have to face. You have to jump into this blue gel and then do this underwater level before it actually opens up, and that's just part of the game. But he glitched through that wall and directly into the tube where you fight Bowser, and just totally bypassed that. So he beat Super Mario 64 with 0 stars, and that was kind of neat.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is amazing. I mean, and that's the level of perfection that you can achieve on that kind of run. I mean, the Contra run I was talking about, I read a little bit about an author's comment, and he had done a previous run of Contra 3 that was almost perfect, and then went back and redid the run to improve it by, it was like, I think 173 frames, which, I mean, you can't even see that in a blink of an eye. I mean, that's so small a time frame. I mean, it's amazing. And he actually took the time to go and perfect it that much further to where he's almost confident that it can't be done any faster.
Whenever you see speedruns of Ocarina of Time, they always play the Japanese version because of the characters. It's less lines per page. So and the thing is, at most it'll save them, I think they said like 0.08 of a second or something insane. But that if you see a speedrun of Ocarina of Time, it is 90% of the time in Japanese, because they want that 0.08 of a second to do better. And it's I mean, all the things that they take into account is just insane.
Yeah. I mean, the unit of measure for a TAS run is definitely a frame, which is, I mean, milliseconds of time, and the unit of measure for an SDA run would be, seconds, because it's actually tangible that someone would be able to go and improve the run by a second or a half a second here or there, but just that minimal amount of time, it doesn't exist in those kinds of runs.
All right, guys, on to the next topic. I don't want to ruin anything, but our next topic is spoilers.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler?
Yes.
We'll call this section Spoiler Alert after we've already started this section.
But
It's Caleb, this is another topic that you brought up, because that's really the reason we brought you, because we were all out of ideas, and we were like, holy crap, we're on the 8th episode and we cannot think of anything else, and we're like, we got to bring in someone else, and so that's exactly why
you're way smarter.
Trade secret: every couple of episodes, we're gonna have a new cast member who brings with him ideas.
That's the initiation. You can only come if you can fill an episode with ideas.
Well, I'm happy to be the center of this episode. My ego is enjoying it very much. Well, the spoilers is a very close to the chest topic for me, because there are so many details released, hourly about video games and upcoming games, and as gamers, we are always looking forward to the next big thing. I mean, it's almost a culture of dissatisfaction, in that we're never completely satisfied with what we have. I mean, our library is never big enough. There's never a newer game. There's always something on the horizon to be on the lookout for. But what gets me about that is the constant need to feed that desire to have something more by learning everything about it before it even comes out, and essentially robbing yourself of the experience when you do get that game. For example, a couple of episodes back, Marshall talked about BioShock Infinite and how he spoiled the ending for himself because he didn't think it would meet his expectations of the previous installments of BioShock. Granted, while that's a ridiculous reason, it's his reason, and can't hold him at too much fault. But I can't even fathom spoiling the entire purpose of a single player only game. I mean, that's the only thing it has to offer There's one thing to learn, certain gameplay details or maybe a little bit of the story just to kind of whet your appetite about it and get you excited to have the game, but to completely go and say, well, I want to know the ending, then it defeats so much of the purpose of then going and playing the game, because that, in the case of BioShock Infinite, the biggest draw to that game was the end reveal. And while it didn't make a whole lot of sense necessarily and wasn't the best choice for a story, it certainly wasn't as good as the first BioShock, which is absolutely my favorite in the series, for many reasons, which maybe I'll talk about later. But the end reveal really, it carries with it that pang of, holy crap, that just, it changes everything that you had been thinking about for the entire course of the game, because you know that something's off and you're going through it and you're like, that's really weird, and you're starting to think of possible solutions. Okay, what weird thing are they going to throw at me? Especially if you're familiar with the franchise, you're thinking, well, what are they going to do? What's the big twist? And you have some ideas and things, and maybe you saw it coming from the very beginning, maybe you didn't, but it, like he mentioned, there's all these little references to it right from the very beginning. And if you don't know that they're there, it kind of sinks into your subconscious and you see it and you absorb it, but it fits only because you're in the game world and it's supposed to fit. And when you get to the end and it all falls apart, it blows your mind a little bit. Maybe mine more than more sophisticated minds, but I really appreciated it. I mean, I watched the ending cutscene, or the ending section of the game, just with my jaw open, and I'm going, what just happened? I mean, it was an amazing experience to me, and it would have been completely trashed if I'd spoiled that for myself.
For me, on the other hand, again, I spoiled myself just because of expectations, but another part of it was those the last 15 minutes, it had, for me, had I not spoiled myself, would have just come from out of flipping nowhere, because I wouldn't have been looking for anything like that. But knowing that going into it, I saw so much stuff that they threw at you, and if had you not known it, it would have gone right over my head. And I'm afraid, if I hadn't spoiled myself, I wouldn't have originally thought that, wow, they just completely threw this at the very last minute. When reality, it's been there the whole time, staring at you right in the face. You just didn't really know how to put it together yet.
But the thing is, nothing's stopping you from playing again. I mean, you could have easily beaten it and then played it again, and then you already knew the ending because you actually played it. And I think that's how that game was meant to be played. You're supposed to say, this doesn't make any sense throughout most of it, and then I haven't played it yet, so I don't know how it ends. But at the end, something crazy happens. But I think it's so easy to accidentally find a spoiler online, and Marshall will actively looks for spoilers. Marshall soils himself all the time.
He does.
And I've been getting better at it, though. I mean, for some reason.
He hasn't soiled himself as much recently.
Okay, Dead Space 3, I did not spoil myself, and I kind of wish I did because of that stupid ending.
Yeah,
I was going to say, you
almost soiled yourself for that one.
You would have gotten away with that one because no one cares.
Oh my god, this is so dumb.
So Marshall's constantly trying not to soil himself.
But no, I agree. The availability and the readiness. I'm trying to maintain a level of professionalism here.
Well, Marshall doesn't get any of it, which is why I keep doing it.
But it is so easy to spoil it for yourself, and that's what I hate, because I want to go on to gaming news websites, achievement hunting websites, whatever, and find out some details about games that I'm excited for that are coming out, to just learn a little bit about it. Kind of what direction are they taking here? Is this actually going to be fun? Maybe catch a trailer or two, some screenshots. But then occasionally they'll throw something out there. I'm like, whoa, I did not want to know that. Thank you for ruining half the game.
Yeah, you can't even read a review without something crazy happening. I mean, I just look at the number, BioShock's at 9. That's all I know about.
Okay.
I mean, it's just it's a 9. And I was like, maybe there's a 9 in the game. But even that could be a spoiler. It's so easy to run into spoilers on the internet. I mean, I had to stay off the gaming subreddit because of the amount of spoilers that probably shot up when BioShock Infinite was released.
And that's my biggest, I don't know, confusion, I guess, or level. I don't know how to word that, but that's what confuses me the most about it is I don't understand the prevalence and the popularity of this mass amount of spoiling information.
I think it definitely has to come with the internet being as prevalent as it is today, because I remember beating Ocarina of Time, and spoiler alert, Sheik is actually Zelda throughout the entire game.
What? What the hell, man?
Come on. You played Smash Bros. You know how this works.
I thought those were two different separate characters, man.
Yeah, so that was sweet. I remember being a kid and being like, whoa, and, making that noise, because that's what it sounded like as a kid. I was like, this is great. And
this is Child Josh.
It's true. It's mirror image. But, that was amazing. That's probably the best spoiler that I can think of right now. I mean, Peach not being in a castle isn't really a spoiler, but your companion in the entire game that it actually helped you was actually the person that you were looking for the whole time. And that was really neat. And I feel like if something like that were to happen today, I mean, BioShock Infinite, I haven't played it, and I've done the thing is I have to actively try to not see a spoiler, whereas before I could just play the game and kind of go about my normal business and I wouldn't have to worry about it. I had friends that had played it and they didn't tell me about it, and most of the time, except for Marshall on the rare occasion, most of the time my friends won't tell me it, but for some reason on the internet it's totally cool to spoil these endings. And I think it's kind of an interesting dichotomy where your friends won't do it, but if you're some random guy on the internet will totally do it, but he wouldn't spoil the ending to his friend. So it's like it's weird.
I think one of the worst examples that I've seen in a long time in terms of spoiling, especially from like a gaming journalist standard, was unfortunately from Kotaku. One of the few reasons why I don't really visit that website, besides them kind of slowly turning into yellow journalism, is during Batman.
Yellow blogism. They're not a journalism site.
Yeah, that's right. It's bloggers. They're not journalists, even though they love the flip flop.
Yellow blogism.
One of the articles that they wrote, it was like a preview of Batman Arkham City, actually. And the title of it was, "It's all fun and games until the Joker dies at the end."
Seriously?
And I'm like, what? Huh, what? I mean, even though at that point, it was just during like the beginning, towards like the first quarter of the game, when you think he's dead, but he's really not. The demo for them ended at that point where you think he's dead. And then literally they had that as the title of the article of, "Oh, hey, Joker's dead." Everyone got so pissed off. Like, you could have done everything in your power to be like, "Hey, there are spoilers in this article. Maybe you might not want to read it." But instead they decided, "Hey, we're going to piss off everyone to get more page views." And that was really bad.
Yeah. Using rage for popularity is very low.
They have a bad habit of doing that nowadays for Kotaku, which really upsets me.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've gone to Kotaku.
Yeah. Another bad example of stuff like that is Capcom really loves to do that crap of their trailers, where they give you a little bit too much information.
Agreed.
Resident Evil 5 was like the worst example that I can remember. They literally gave away that Jill was in that game. Like, she was one of the main characters that you thought was dead, but as it turns out, she's alive, and they totally gave that away in the trailers. Like, at least maybe, like, three times.
I think they did that because that was an incentive to play the game. I don't think that they were trying to spoil anything. I think they were like, "Hey, guys, you wanted to see Jill and Chris again. Maybe you should get this game." And go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I do agree that I think that was their goal. I also agree that it was stupid.
It was really bad.
I will say that Capcom is really bad, especially with Resident Evil 6.
Yes.
That's it. Resident Evil 6 was just really bad.
I was about to say, there's really not much discussion when talking about Resident Evil 6.
I don't care about the trailers. No,
game.
it was just a bad game. I just really wanted to bring that up again. It was a bad game.
That is a statement in and of itself. Resident Evil 6 equals bad.
Resident Evil 6, Aliens, Colonial Marines, never forget. Those are terrible, terrible games.
Oh, speaking of Aliens, Colonial Marines, let's talk about my clairvoyance.
Yeah.
It was probably the first or second episode where we were talking about Colonial Marines, and I said, I'm surprised that no one has sued Gearbox yet, because a demo of a game is supposed to be a representation of the actual game. And
false advertising.
Right, and to pull the old switcheroo and be like, oh, nope, this isn't it. And the fact that you even played the demo level in the game and that was totally crappy just shows that, they clearly did a bad job, and it wasn't the game that you wanted to get. And I said, well, I'm surprised no one has sued them yet. So a couple weeks later, Marshall posts a story on the Random Respawn Facebook page saying that Colonial Marines and Gearbox are being sued for false advertising. And I was like, sweet, put that one in the point bucket.
That doesn't make you a psychic.
Something else happened. I said something and it ended up being true 2 more times. And I don't remember either of them.
Well done.
So there you go. You're just going to have to take my word for it.
For those who don't know, our page is facebook.com/random respawn. You should go check it out.
We're not done yet. You don't need to plug it.
I know, but it's a weird habit of mine. I can't help it.
Shameless plugging.
Yay!
We should just have a voiceover, like just in the middle of the podcast. Facebook.com/random respawn. And like it just comes in and out.
Getting back to spoilers, I mean, I do like to keep up with, some tantalizing information on new games that are coming out, like the new Wolfenstein, for example, or Wolfenstein, if you prefer.
Wolfenstein.
I am so excited for the new single-player only, thank you, heavens above, Wolfenstein game. I think it's called A New Order.
Yes, something along those lines.
A New Order, and since Bethesda owns ID or id Software, I think that game is going to be stellar. And Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 is another one I'm kind of getting details on gradually. Even though most people hated the first Castlevania Lords of Shadow, I actually enjoyed it, and I'm a huge fan of the Castlevania series, so I'm excited to see where they take the second one.
It seems that Naughty Dog is doing a really good job at keeping The Last of Us kind of under wraps.
I have been impressed with that, because I haven't had to actively avoid details on that game.
And that and Watch Dogs are 2 games that I'm really excited for.
Yes. Just the other day, I had posted about a 6-minute video of Watch Dogs onto the Facebook page. That was pretty much one of the few times I've really ever seen footage of that game. The last time I saw it was maybe at like last year's E3, and I've been kind of keeping my head away from it just to wait to see what's been going on. And then this video comes out, and man, it looks pretty friggin' awesome. One of the key things that I think I noticed about the video is towards the end, when you're like in a arm shop and you're talking to the guy up front, you're going through the list of stuff to buy, a newscast behind him on a TV pops up saying, hey, your character is wanted for stuff. And then the shopkeeper, while you're sifting, kind of looks behind him, kind of looks at you, and then slides his hand under the table and hits the alarm. And then it's like, oh shit, I need to get out of here now. And if they could just do like little subtle things like that, that game's gonna be awesome. Like, I'm stoked.
That's the point of that game. They wanted every single thing that you do to feel like you changed the story. And is it wrong to kind of... I'm looking forward to see how they use that game for the Wii U. I mean, you're on your phone the whole time. I think it'd be neat if they use the controller kind of neat. But I have a Wii U and I really like it, so I don't care what you say. I may not get the game for it. I'm just curious.
You get Bayonetta 2. You can't complain, you jerk.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I totally get Bayonetta 2.
I'm sorry I reminded you, Caleb. I'm so sorry.
Why would you bring that up? That was a wound.
Spoiler alert. Bayonetta 2 goes to the Wii U.
Caleb's going to shoot lipstick at your head, and then you're going to soil yourself.
I'm going to hurt you, because I thought I had finally healed that wound, and now it's just been reopened and a pound of salt poured in it.
I'm so sorry.
Bayonetta is probably my, top 5 favorite games of all time. I love that game. The third-person hack and slash is one of my favorite genres, and the Devil May Cry series, namely Devil May Cry 1 and 3, were just amazing in my younger years. And then 4 was okay, And the reboot was good in its own way. A lot of people gave it a lot of hate, but I think that for what it was fun and it was good. And so then when Bayonetta came, it was a Devil May Cry faster and more fluid and more ridiculous and more fun. And in every way perfect. I've spent so many days playing that game.
Took you how long to beat what's his name? The bartender?
Oh, yeah. That was hard.
I know. I watched you play it. I even tried, and I died instantly. It scared the crap out of me.
The only way to fight Rodin, the crazy bartender, demon, angel, weapons dealer guy, is to use this special card that he lost somewhere that renews his power. And so you go into the fight, and no matter what you do, it's always going to be on infinite climax mode, which is basically hard, stupid hard, good luck mode. And it's so difficult. I mean, he has several moves in his arsenal that will either take you down to half health, or he has one move that is a complete, if he hits you with it, you are dead. No matter how much health you have. You can't block it, you are dead. And so it's a lot of dodging, a lot of poking, and a lot of memorization. I think after like a week on and off, I finally beat him, and the reward was totally worth it because you get the most amazing weapon in the game. Not necessarily the best, but definitely amazing and spectacular. Because it's a collaboration of all of the enemies' weapons in that game. And that was one thing that you could kill an enemy, they drop like a weapon, and you could use it a couple of times and do a really powerful, really cool move. But then that was it. But this weapon that you get from beating the weapons dealer guy, it allows you to use all of those weapons in combos or do specific moves to do those special weapon power moves. And there's one in particular where you have these claws of death, and you spin in circles and just decimate everything in your path. And that's like the most powerful move for the special weapons that you pick up. So when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, I want those. And you grab them and just destroy everything in front of you. Well, this weapon allows you to just do that on command, and it's amazing.
Pretty cool.
One thing...
I think...
Wait, hold on. Before we end, I want to just quickly go back to spoilers and talk about The Last of Us.
If you spoil that on this
I'm not. No. I appreciate the fact that they've been so quiet about it, that the only gameplay that we've actually seen are the very short trailers that they've been putting out of, like, barely any story as is. And then, like, 2 things of gameplay. One was shown at E3 in the apartments in Philadelphia, or rather, was it Pittsburgh? It's one of the two. I think it's Pittsburgh. And then the scene in the subway when you finally kind of see the infected for the first time. Those are the only 2 trailers or 2 gameplay things that I've seen. And honestly, like, that's how trailers and gameplay things should be. Just very, very little gameplay with no story attached to it, just to see what the game feels like. Story should be an entirely different thing when it comes to making sure, like, whether or not, if the game doesn't play well, it may not be worth it, even on the story alone. So I appreciate that The Last of Us actually just doesn't try and spoil anything and just goes straight with, like, this is how the game plays. And I just love the fact that they do that. And I'm really excited for the demo that'll come out at some point for anyone who bought God of War Ascension.
Yes. I am excited for that. I'm definitely proud to own a PS3 when The Last of Us comes out. I'm so excited for that.
Go out with a bang.
All right, I believe this concludes this episode.
Yes.
Take it away, Marshall.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to our podcast once again. We are Random Respawn. Please check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Random Respawn. And then also take a look at our hilarious videos at youtube.com/We Are Random Respawn. That is We Are Random Respawn, not Random Respawn itself, or else you're not going to be able to find us, sadly. So with that, I am Marshall Behringer. I apologize for my crappy mic tonight.
I'm Josh Regani, and I apologize for Marshall's crappy mic tonight.
I am Caleb Jones, and I apologize for being a little bit long-winded and making you listen to Marshall's mic.
And I hate you all very much, but I love you all. Have a good night. Take care.
If only Marshall's mic didn't suck so
I
much.
swear to God, I hate you all.